My name is Outsider2522. Welcome to another Idleon video. So today I'm going to be looking at the current state of the game and the recent message that Lava has put out. We've not had much content to talk about, so let's discuss this and see what we can make of it. Okay, so as always, please like, share and subscribe. The channel is growing. I need you to keep growing. Like 70% of you or something aren't subscribed. Come subscribe, alright? You're watching, you can do me a favour, just drop me a subscription, alright? Also, come join the Discord. It's a great group of people. We love to talk about Idleon. We'd love to hear from you, so get involved. Okay, so I'm going to do a disclaimer at the beginning of this video. The thoughts and feelings in this video are of my own. I have had discussions with people. Windclaw, you've heard me mention him before. We've discussed it a lot. Mainly because he's just a friend of mine in the game. He has an understanding. He's about a similar place to me, so we've got similar kind of views of what's going on, but kind of looking at it from different ways. But obviously I'll credit when the things have come from other people. I've also been in a lot of Discords discussing it with people, trying to figure out what other people are thinking, trying to put the pieces together. So I'm going to start, and I'll put a chapter in here so you can skip it if you've already read this, but I'm going to read through it for those of you who don't want to read and just want to listen. This is Lava's words. Hey Idleoneers, just wanted to talk about the absence here in the last roughly 2 months. As I'm sure you've noticed, I haven't been posting daily, not to mention a sudden halt to the posts of next update. In short, having worked pretty tirelessly on Idleon since starting World 6 development in November of 2023, I started to get a bit tired. That's a 9-month stretch where I was thinking about the game 24/7, not to mention I've been thinking about Idleon for almost 5 years. This is not the first time this has happened, but it certainly still hurts in the ideas department. This is all to say, when I first started this update with the giant hole and villagers, I just didn't like where my head was at. I wasn't coming up with anything I thought was worth making, and for you worth playing. Had I gone with my idea, the whole update would be out by now. You might enjoy it for a few days, but then never play it again, because it would have been nothing special. Instead, I went with my gut, who said, give it more time, come up with a better idea that, like many good features in the game, will stay relevant long after its release, and get your mind healthy and ready to make more updates and World 7 later. Even though it's tough to be away from the game, I do believe my gut, and I stick by my gut. So that's why there hasn't been much from me since late July. I'm still not 100% certain what is in the hole, but once I find out, you'll have daily posts from me again, not just for the hole, but more updates, and World 7, and post-World 7 updates, and World 8. Thank you everyone for your enthusiasm over the years, and I hope I can get something extra special for you down in the hole, as well as return as strong as ever with frequent updates after a worthwhile World 7 content for after those updates. TLDR, worked hard since November 2023, didn't feel like I was creative enough to make content worth your time recently, so decided to wait for the creative juices to come back. That's all. Nothing serious. I hope to return to my normal daily posts and frequent updates soon. Okay, so let's dissect what there is in there, because there's a lot to go through. Personally, I don't even care if this comes from a sincere place. I've heard lots of people saying, oh, he's just making excuses. I'll be honest with you, I wouldn't be surprised if he's burnt out, but I'm not even interested in sincerity, because at this point I'm more interested in the fact that his communication is so much better in this post that there is hope for the future. And what I mean is, there's been scandals and all sorts going on that he's refused to make comments on. It's not a good look. I'd rather he had made comments on them, but obviously they're in the past, so he's probably not going to. I'm looking at the drop rates for the last event. However, this kind of communication where he's like, hands up guys, I'm burnt out, I was going to make another, in essence it sounds like he was going to make another kind of clicker where we go in there for a few days, we complete the majority of it, it's then time gated or something happens and we don't ever return to it. I would much rather he takes the time and builds something worthwhile that is end game, as he said it would be, rather than a pastime that comes and goes like the majority of the content. So love to see this and would love to hear this kind of update more often, and just, you know, understanding where he's at. Now, while I do have that kind of understanding for it, it is also slightly a bit frustrating. And the main reason is, while he is a solo dev, and he likes the moniker of solo dev, the reason he's burnt out is because he is a solo dev, trying to balance so many systems that are probably, some of them are outside of his grasp, his field, you know, that kind of thing. And it's gonna hurt him. Okay, that's gonna hit home hard. So I'm sure, and I've looked into server costs. Do not get me wrong. I don't think Idleon is making him as much money as people think. You know, the facetious jokes about a yacht, I don't think he's earning that level, because this game probably costs quite a bit to run. It's got a fairly large concurrent player base on Steam. My guess is it would be larger on mobile, so his servers, they do cloud saves every 5 minutes or so on every character who is active with an internet connection, so that's quite a lot of connections into his server. For anyone who does know about servers and costs, it's all about the number of queries, the number of calls. He's probably making a lot given his player base, so his overheads are probably pretty high. However, with that being said, I still think he's earning enough money to be able to bring on a team of people. You know, if he needs a creative lead, bring in a creative lead. If he needs someone to help out with the coding side, bring in a back-end developer. Logic, things like that. You know, he could greatly help the game and himself by growing into more than just a solo dev. Whether he decides to go down that path is obviously completely up to him, but I do think it's something with the level of complexity and how big the game has grown over that 5 years, as he says, he probably needs to start considering. Something that's also worth mentioning is Lava may not be feeling too great at the moment in terms of his self-worth, and the reason is, for those of you in Maine, you'll have seen it. He put out a poll about recent updates, what people thought of them. It was not kind, okay? And I understand why, because things like the ballot system, the majority votes are 0. No one wanted it. Tome, 6, very mediocre. Mini bosses, 6, very mediocre. You know, in terms of it, the best one was quality of life improvements, which is what people have been screaming for. So maybe we'll start seeing that. The Owl, Rue, both of those that are won, not very well at all. So people aren't caring, seemingly, about the things he's pushing out, which is probably very disheartening from a dev's point of view, because he's spending time, effort, resources on these things, and the community just, quite frankly, doesn't care. Which is probably why he's saying, I want to take some time, make better quality stuff, because the community is clearly saying, we don't want that quantity of garbage. We would much rather have the quality, like your quality of life updates, the summoning update, you know, the land ranks, those things where they improve upon a system that we already had, that people were already interacting with, enjoying. They seem to get a much higher rating than what they would. The one which is a little bit low is sneaking, which is the other expansion. However, I think that might be because some people are reaching Mastery 3 and realising that it's locked. You can't go any further. There are people with 100,000 points in sneaking that cannot go any further, and they're saying basically, my guess is either there's going to be another expansion to sneaking that makes that possible, or Lava needs to balance it. So that would be why I would imagine that that particular expansion hasn't gone down so well, and also sneaking is very expensive. You know, you end up spending a lot of gems to get the pristine charm, so community doesn't like that kind of forced pay to win sort of thing. So that would be my gut reaction. But given how damning that poll has been to his recent updates, I can imagine he's not really feeling very motivated, because I wouldn't. If this was me having put out, what's that, look at the last, I think it's the last 3-4 months worth of stuff, and there's only like 2 or 3 of them that are above, what is it, there's maybe 5 that are above 7, which is, like, the majority of people would say 7 is a good score to aim for. it's pretty low. And yeah, so I almost wonder if that has made him reflect upon what he's doing and made him go, the hole was going to be another clicker. They do not like the clicker. We need to think of something better. And if that is the case, actually hats off to him, because again, it's hard to have that kind of constructive criticism laid out in such an open forum. It's even harder to take it on board and accept it, because a lot of people turn a blind eye. They don't know what they're doing. I'm hoping that he's seen these numbers and he's kind of understood that maybe the direction he's aiming for isn't quite the same as what the community is looking for. We can also look into why these kind of updates came about. So Windclaw came up with a fantastic reason. I was like, I was completely unaware this was a thing. I don't even know how much of the community is aware of it. But he wonders if the owl and rue clickers were made as a way to appease people. And the reason is that Lava put the character levels needed to unlock new character slots much higher than they were historically. So now the average character level to unlock the 10th character is 167. Previously it was only 100. So it's like a 67% increase. That's a massive increase to how many class levels you need, especially early game. And Windclaw made a very, very valid point. He was saying by the time you're in World 4, you might only have, say, 6 toons, whereas historically you would have 8. That's a big difference when you're going into the lab, you know, and it just changes how the game feels in a very, very meaningful way. And he almost wonders if Owl and Rue was added as a way to sort of give free stats to people early on to make up for the lack of toons later on, which is something I'd never considered, but actually I'm like, it would make sense, because maybe Lava realised that he overshot it with the class levels and therefore gave something as like a, hey, I'm not gonna say this was wrong, but here's a present, like, let's forget about it. And obviously then the Owl and Rue updates have not hit the mark, so it probably hasn't worked as he planned. I mean, that's all I've got to say on the topic. I would love to hear what you guys have to say. Love to hear feedback, how you feel about the update, what what you'd like to see going forward, whether you think this message is heartfelt, honest, whether you think it's good, whether you'd like to see this kind of communication going forward. Let's have a discussion about it, because I think this kind of thing is very, very important. As always, please feel free to like, share and subscribe. It really helps the channel to grow. Thank you very much for watching. You've been amazing. Until next time, take care.